A declassified CIA document describes an alleged UFO attack on Soviet forces. The report claims that Soviet soldiers shot down a UFO, causing it to crash. 5 small humanoids emerged from the wreckage, fused into a single object, and emitted a bright light that turned most of the soldiers to stone.
This is a story that's literally just coming out and breaking like right now, like an hour ago. The CIA document states that it turned these soldiers to stone. Now, the interesting thing is Tim Burchett, congressman, has actually brought this up a few times where he said it could turn us to charcoal. It could turn us to charcoal. Their technology is so powerful, it could turn us to charcoal. As a matter of fact, have you noticed anything weird about Tim Burchett? He's actually truly backed off of the entire UFO topic. Not too long ago, he was getting warnings because he was so hard towards this topic that he was stepping on a bee's nest. He had kicked the bee's nest in his own words. And now currently, we don't hear much from him. As a matter of fact, Nancy Mace was the last one to run the UFO hearing. Tim wanted it, but they wouldn't let him run it.
Do we expect any new congressional hearings with new whistleblowers on the horizon?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be announcing something. I will not be chairing it, but they wouldn't allow me to do it. But
wouldn't allow Tim to do it. Why not? Well, the only real conclusion here is that Tim is part of the Gang of Eight.
And the other interesting takeaway from this is there's 2 people that are sponsoring this bill that are on the Gang of Eight. So the Gang of Eight was really a concept that got created out of the Church Commission when there was oversight concerns back in the 60s and the 70s, where there were activities going on that Congress was not aware of and that were essentially illegal. And so there was a structure put in place such that certain key members of Congress would be legally entitled to hear about all information that pertained to the equities of Title 10 and Title 50. And so that created this concept of the Gang of Eight, which is the majority leader and the minority leader in the Senate, the speaker and the minority leader in the House, and then the ranking and chairs of each of the intel committees. So that's 8 folks. So these folks are the people in Congress that are aware of all the information.
Was a lot of information. He spoke really fast. It went over your head. I know it did because it went over mine the very first time I listened to it. Now that I listened to it again, listen to this. Here's what I think happened. The Gang of Eight is a group of people who are in today's timeline, essentially, on Congress, and they know most of the information. Most. They're supposed to be read in on all of it. But there was a thing that happened, an event, we'll say, back in the early 50s or 60s. Could have been the UFO phenomenon, which leaning towards. It also could have been something like the nuclear explosion. Either way, around that time period, we got jumped onto some really good information. And we decided, leaders in our military decided that Congress and our presidents did not need to know all of that information. Now, was that following John F. Kennedy? Probably. But at some point they decided that they didn't need to know that information, and we needed to split that off into 2 lanes. There was a secret society who knew this kind of stuff, which was deep in our military, and then there was your main timeline of people who were your presidents and stuff, and they didn't need to get filled in on this information. But as we grew, we were talking back and forth with some stuff, and that's when we seen a massive bump in our technology. But for a long time after the internet came out, really, our technological advances kind of shut down. But is that because they found something? And is that because things got secret and more secret and more secret because we stumbled onto something? Like maybe even interdimensional travel? I mean, this is theory talk at this point, but could it have been? And now that we've learned the basics of this technology, we're getting ready to bump it back into the main time stream. And that being said, how dangerous is that? And we have to go back and figure out, oh man, well, we did a lot of stuff to cover up that timeline. Oh man, we made it, took people out. We hid some money. We did money laundering. We could go to jail for the rest of our lives if we bring this technology forth. But I feel like they found a way to cover that stuff up. This is just conspiracy talk at this point, ladies and gentlemen. But I think I'm onto something. What do you guys think about this? Is Tim Burchett on the Gang of Eight? Does he know something but maybe can't bring it forth? And maybe that's why he was unable to even bring it up in Congress. And instead they had to have Nancy Mace chair the entire UFO thing, because man, was he ever on one. I'll tell you, he was excited. I don't know. This is a random thought on a Sunday. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. We'll talk to you soon.